Growing your quads and filling out those jeans doesn't have to be hard. In fact, the quads are an incredibly simple muscle to train. As the name suggests, the quadriceps are made up of 4 different muscles. 3 of these muscles are known as the vastus muscles, all of which attach to the femur bone and cross the knee joint. This includes the vastus lateralis, which is located on the outside of the thigh, the vastus medialis, which is located on the inside of the thigh and is responsible for the teardrop shape above the knee, and the vastus intermedius, which sits directly in the middle of the thigh. However, the vastus intermedius can't be seen as it's fully covered by the 4th quad muscle that also runs directly down the middle of the leg, the rectus femoris. This muscle is extremely unique as it actually crosses the knee and the hip joint, meaning it's the only quad muscle with multiple functions. At the beginning of this video, I made the bold claim that quads are an incredibly simple muscle to train. The reason I said this is because of how simple their functions are. For example, the 3 vastus muscles have the sole task of extending or straightening the knee, such as in a leg extension exercise. The rectus femoris also helps extend the knee, although it can additionally flex the hips, such as raising your legs straight out in front of you or kicking a soccer ball. Training the rectus femoris muscle is not as simple as it sounds, so make sure you pay attention to this next part. Since all the quad muscles extend the knee, nearly the entirety of your quad training should be focused on this action. This includes any type of squatting movements, lunges, split squats, leg extensions, and any other exercise in which you have to actively straighten your knee against resistance. While performing any of the exercises I just mentioned will fully work your vastus muscles, the same can't be said for the rectus femoris muscle. The reason behind this is most muscles need to be stretched under load to fully grow. The vastus muscles are stretched as your knee bends, such as at the bottom of the squat. However, because the rectus femoris flexes the hip joint and extends the knee, the only way to stretch this muscle is to perform the opposite action simultaneously, which should be hip extension and knee flexion. In case you didn't connect the dots already, squats, lunges, leg extensions, and just about every other quad exercise does not do these things. So to stretch the rectus femoris muscle under load and to maximize its growth, we have to include exercises such as sissy squats and quad fallouts, which are movements you rarely ever see in the gym. Unfortunately, since so many people neglect the rectus femoris, it's the most commonly injured and least developed quad muscle in most people. When it comes to your leg workouts, there are a few techniques you can use to emphasize the involvement of your quads. Anytime you perform a squat, whether that's a barbell squat or machine hack squat, try moving your feet closer together. By using a narrow stance, your glutes will be less involved, allowing your quads to take on more of the load. Additionally, many people find they can squat deeper with this narrow stance as well. This will allow you to get a deeper stretch on those 3 vastus muscles and greatly improve your quad growth. If you find you're too unstable with a narrow stance, it's likely because your feet are too close together. Similar to using a narrow stance, increasing the amount of knee flexion in your exercises will allow you to maximize the stretch in your quads and stop the glutes from taking on too much of the load as well. And in case you forgot, knee flexion is simply how much your knee bends. To increase this flexion, you either have to use more range of motion or allow your knees to move further over your toes. To accomplish this in a lunge or split squat, just move your front foot closer to your body. Similarly, on a machine hack squat or leg press, move your feet further down on the machine. If you're doing a free weight barbell or goblet squat, try elevating your heels by placing them on a 25 or 45 pound plate. This will not only allow you to squat much deeper, but your shins will also be angled forward, which will naturally drive your knees over your toes. Now, if you're concerned about your knees, it's important to know that contrary to popular belief, letting your knees go over your toes in lunges and squats is actually extremely beneficial to your knee health in the long run. So don't shy away from doing this. When it comes to crafting the perfect leg workout to hammer your quads, it's very important that we include variety. For that reason, I'm not not going to be telling you specific exercises you should be doing, but rather which movement patterns you should be doing. Without a doubt, the first exercise you should include in your quad-focused workouts is squats. This can be a back squat, goblet squat, hack squat, or any squat version you like. Since this is your first exercise, however, you should definitely try performing some heavier sets in the 5 to 8 rep range to help improve your strength while you have the energy for it. The second exercise you should be doing is a lunge, split squat, or single leg press. The reason for this is mostly for variety, although single leg movements can be great for ensuring there are no strength imbalances between both of your legs. Keep in mind, you can replace this exercise with a two-legged leg press or another squat variation if you see fit. For the third quad exercise, you'll absolutely want to include the leg extension. Assuming you went heavy and trained hard enough on the first two exercises, it's likely that you can't handle many more strenuous exercises. This is why we include the leg extension later in the workout, as it's a complete isolation exercise for the quads, meaning you're able to train them as hard as you can without having to worry about the fatigue that comes with holding a heavy bar on your back or heavy dumbbells in your hands. Last but absolutely not least, we need to make sure we include an exercise to target the rectus femoris muscle. As you may remember from earlier in the video, the rectus femoris is trained to some degree in most quad exercises. However, most of these exercises are unable to stretch the muscle under load, limiting its potential for growth. To rectify this problem, our fourth and final exercise should be either a sissy squat or a quad fallout, which is also known as a reverse Nordic curl. For both of these exercises, it's very important that you don't let your hips bend. Your legs and upper body should form a completely straight line at all times. After having watched this entire video, hopefully you now at least somewhat agree with me that the quads are a very simple muscle to train. Other than trying to understand the confusing rectus femoris muscle and having to tolerate the crazy, painful burn when training them, the quads are relatively straightforward. Not only this, but you have so many options when it comes to exercise selection. Seriously, you could perform a different squat variation every single workout for months if you really wanted to. With such a wide selection of exercises, I highly encourage you to experiment and explore your options to find which feels and works the best for you. Likewise, experiment with different rep ranges as well. I didn't include any rep ranges in this video as the amount of reps you should be doing is very dependent on your goals. However, if you're trying to grow your quads as much as possible, anything within the 6 to 12 rep range will always be best. Make sure you check out the links in the description below to get your free 28-day acclimation program, or if you want information about my Alpha Maker project, which is my one-on-one coaching program. Get busy, get after it, and God bless.